One important thing about writing that people must understand is that as a writer you aren't peddling words, though those are also important. No one's gonna read your story if it has a grammar of a 4-year-old. You're peddling emotions. The story you write has to evoke a certain reaction from your audience, preferably a reaction that is common for the genre. In case of horror, it is usually the sense of unease, tension. In case of comedy, it is amusement, and in case of drama, it is empathy to its characters. Drama fails when you couldn't give an ounce of unicorn farts about the character's struggle, and though this is highly subjective, there are common things in all dramas we can observe, like for example, the main character, and most of them are women, because making women, children and animals suffer is the easiest way to evoke emotion from humans. Violet Evergarden is an anti-military drama about a 14-year-old child soldier named Violet Evergarden who considered herself to be a tool, thus setting up her psyche to blind obedience to her master. But during the last battle, her master, Major Bugambiria, is severely wounded, she loses both of her hands, he dies, she lives, gets a set of mechanical hands, and is now forced to reintegrate into society because the war is now over and no one wanted to tell her about Major's death till episode 9 because she would probably kill herself. As you can probably guess from my explanation, the main drama is that Violet can't human that well, so she wants to understand emotions, to see what the fuck I love you means, hence why she works as a ghostwriter that here are called auto-memory dolls, and the basic premise of most stories is that she goes somewhere and sad stuff happens. From a technical standpoint, Violet Evergarden is a very skillfully written drama. The plot, though can sometimes exaggerate, is good. If you are a fan of dramas, then there will be at least one episode that will hit exactly where it's supposed. The graphics are gorgeous, and the scenic shots are a good screensaver material. There are, however, a few things that one might dislike or even find distasteful. The first one is the music. Your typical sad violin and piano, though do work as intended, will never gather much attention to itself and in fact feel pretty generic, as if they just typed out sad music in any number of royalty-free stores and chose the best sounding. The second one is the inconsistencies and jumps in the overall narrative. With the exception of Violet episodes, most of them are pretty inconsequential and exist solely to make you feel sad, which on one hand is kinda the point, while on the other makes the show really hard to binge watch. And finally, the biggest problem and blessing of the show is Violet herself. A tragic character, she's constantly being portrayed as a super soldier without actually showing why is she like that. True that there are snippets and bits about this, but considering that most of the audience are expected to cry their brains out, how do you expect for the viewer to realize that Dietfried found a 10-year-old her on a ship when she murdered a bunch of his sailors that tried to rape her? You'll never even realize this because the show never tells anything about it. This is light novel material, and because they constantly say that she's a doll/weapon, a lot of people might confuse her for a robot, a mistake that my employers made way too often to be coincidental. That and the episodes about her can get overly dramatic really fast, with the worst example being the first episode that felt so unnatural it nearly ruined my experience with the entire show. But even with that all being said, one cannot deny that this is a good anime, far from it, and even though I might still be shell-shocked from Magus Bride, I would still recommend this to people, if anything because genuine dramas are rare these days, at least when it's not about the eternal question of suck or swallow.